Hello, I want to welcome you all to the Smile Therapy section. In this segment, I'm going to be reading out jokes to you. So expect to smile, expect to laugh, and while laughing, please laugh out loud. Okay, now let's start. Now, the first jokes I'm going to be reading out to you is titled A Young Boy Who Desperately Wishes to Be a Pastor. That's the title of this joke. A young boy who desperately wishes to be a pastor. Now let's go. In a certain town, there was this young boy who went to church with his mother and one Sunday morning. So, after the church service, this young boy suddenly announced to his mother. Guess what he said? He said, "Mom, I have decided to be a pastor when I grow up." And his mother replied, "That's okay. With us as family, with us as a family. But what made you decide to be a pastor, my son?" "Well," replied the young boy, "I will be well known and greatly respected by many. But mostly, I kind of like the way the pastor stand up and yell to the congregation without getting a challenge than sitting still and listening." This boy, that was a great decision, anyways. Now the next joke is titled "An Amazing Kindergarten Girl Who Tried to Sketch God's Face." That's the title of the joke. Now let's go. In a certain kindergarten, there was this amazing kindergarten girl who has been very fascinating and interesting. So one day, while in the class, their teacher gave them a drawing assignment to draw anything of their choice. So while they were drawing, their teacher was observing them. In this manner, after a few minutes, she usually walks around to see each child's artwork. So while she was walking around, she came to the amazing little girl's corner, who was busy working diligently, and she, the teacher, asked her what she was drawing. And the amazing little girl replied, "Guess what she said?" She said, "I am drawing God." The teacher then paused and said, "But no one knows how God looks like," without losing focus or looking up to her teacher. The amazing little girl replied, "They will in a minute." That was quite funny, anyways. Like having a child, like have deep love for God. Now the next joke is titled "A false pastor whose false faith led him into a dangerous forest, only to sell himself to an hungry lion." Now let's go. Let me read the contents below. In a certain village, there was this false pastor who claims to have enough faith capable of moving mountains and extraordinary power to come out of any danger he finds himself. He has been saying this to people everywhere. He went to the extent he dares matching the record of Daniel in the Bible, who survived the thrown into the lion's den. So one day he decided to prove to everyone that he can do it. Thus, he went as far as announcing it to the public that he is embarking on a dangerous mission into their most dangerous forest for 3 days. after which he will safely return back to prove to them that he is the man. So on that fateful day, he embarked on the self-destruction journey into their most dangerous forest and was lucky he did not bump into any dangerous animal. Thus, he survived day one. So this little confidence made him continue day two because his initial fear about the dangerous forest was gradually disappearing. After all, in 2 days' time, he will become a self-made hero. So he thought about himself. So he continued day two, quiet, cautiously but more confident for making it to day three. In this manner, he began walking around slowly, but very careful and cautious, and was lucky again not bumping into any dangerous animal. Thus, he survived day two. So on the third day, or the last day for him in the dangerous forest before becoming a self-made hero, he then developed more confidence and continued walking even further inside the forest. And just when he thought he had conquered this greatest fear, as he walked few steps a bit further inside the dangerous forest to round up and start coming back home joyfully, he suddenly bumped into an hungry lion, and as he screamed, the lion ran back. So he thought he had scared the lion, or that the lion was scared of him. So after few seconds of being in shock, he heard the roar sound of the lion, coupled with each running steps. He immediately took off, and the lion started chasing him. So after few seconds again, he stopped and started praying to God, saying, "Oh God, or our ultimate protector, please forgive my sin and save me from this miserable hungry beast." Oh God. Let's continue. I will never try it again for the rest of my life if I'm spared. He continued, "In fact, I have already repented and will serve you very well in truth and spirit with everything I have for the rest of my life, O Lord." And when the hungry lion eventually got to him, it saw him praying and started praying too, saying, "Oh God, our great provider, I thank you so much for this mouth-watering lunch you have just given me now after 3 days of food scarcity." Amen. Ah, let's continue. Out of God's Out of great shock of what he just heard, he opened one of his eyes to know if it's for real, and after confirming it, as he tried to take off again, the impatient, long time hungry lion quickly bounced on him, and the rest was history. And the rest was history. So now let me read out the comments, like the moral lesson. You have read how the first pastor ended up. That's how fake false people and evil people end up. They never end well. Let's talk about infidelity and unfaithfulness. All this prom and queer movement talking about infidelity and, sorry, that was out of point anyways. Now let's continue. The next joke we are going to be reading is titled "A Male Child Without a Male Child Who Out of Argument Revealed His Father Infidelity." In a certain children gathering, three children were arguing over whose father is the biggest coward. In this manner, guess what the first child said. He said, "My daddy is so scared that when there is a sudden loud noise outside, like a bomb blast or gunshot, he stays scared indoors until the following day. He has missed work few days because of that." Gosh. Guess what the second child said. He said, "My daddy is so scared that when lightning strikes, he quickly slides underneath over bed until it's over." I guess what the third child said. He said, "My daddy is so scared that when my mommy works night shift, he sleeps with the woman next door." Ah, God. This is like exposure in the greatest order. Now let's take the next joke. The next joke is titled "A Doctor, Lawyer, and Manager Decision on Having a Wife or Mistress." In a certain town, there were these three unusual or casual friends: one a doctor, the other lawyer, and the third a manager, who were discussing about the benefit of having a wife or a mistress. Guess what the lawyer said? He said, "For such a mistress is better. Sorry, for sure, a mistress is better, because if you have a wife and eventually want a divorce, it causes a lot of legal problems." Guess what the doctor said? He said, "It's better to have wife because it gives sense of security, and sense of security medically lowers your stress, which of course is good for your health." And guess what the manager said? He said, "You are both wrong. It's the best to have both, so that when the wife thinks you are with the mistress, and the mistress thinks you are with your wife, you can go to the office and do some work." Ah, now the next joke is titled "Like Father, Like Son." Like father, like son. Now let's read through. In a certain school, there was this boy who was noted to be a very sorry. In a certain school, there was this boy who was noted to be a very brilliant student by his teacher, and was also noted to have problem of girls because he thinks too much about them. So one day, after his teacher had observed that his problem was getting too much, and as a result distracting him in his academic studies and performance, guess what he did? He decided to write a note to inform the boy's mother. So the teacher wrote the note and sent to the boy's mother. Content of the note. Now listen carefully. Let's get to hear the content of the note. What the teacher wrote to the boy's mother. "Your boy seems to be very brilliant student, but spends too much of his time thinking about the girls." And the boy's mother replied the note. She wrote, "If you find a solution, please let me know. If you find a solution, please let me know. I have the same problem with his father." I have the same. God. Now the next joke is titled "A Drunkard Who Sold His Wife for a Bottle of Whiskey." Now let's listen. In a certain town, there was this drunkard who just walked into a bar crying. So one of the guys that were drinking inside the bar then asked him what happened, and he replied saying, "I did a terrible thing," sniffed the drunk. "Just few hours ago, I sold my wife to a miserable man for a bottle of whiskey." "That is awful," said the boy that was talking to the drunkard. He continued, "And now that she is gone, you want her back, right?" "Right," said the drunkard, still crying. The guy that was talking with the drunkard continued again. You are sorry that you sold her, but you realize too late that you still love her, right? Oh no, replied the drunkard. I want her back because I'm thirsty again. Wow, this is where we'll be ending today's smile therapy. So till we meet again in our next section. Thank you so much for listening and bye.